Hi everyone, welcome to another Eqafe Google Hangout. Tonight we will be discussing the interview series on Eqafe called The Demons in the Afterlife. Specifically looking at interview number 5, which doesn't have a title at this point, but obviously there's specific information inside of it. So we're going to discuss in this hangout about demons, our experiences with demons, how the Destiny Eye process has opened up our view of demons, and how it's supported us to grow and gain perspective and expand our perspective in relation to demons and demon possessions and such. So welcome, Clive from South Africa. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gabriella. Nice to be here. Thank you.
And we have Ingrid from the Netherlands, right, Ingrid?
Yes. Hi. Thank you.
Nice for you to be here. Okay, so let's get into it. What has been your experience in your past with demons, if you have any? Ingrid, why don't you start?
I have, especially from a very young age, experience with stories about demons, and I also participated in the game with the class on the board, with the letters around it.
Oh, the Ouija board.
Yes, that was the only thing that I did, and it worked. It moved. Let's say it moved. And during that time there were going stories around about, not in my direct environment, but stories, just how stories are, how somewhere someone could become possessed by a demon and then do things that were not decisions of their own and things like that, or fall down off the stairs. No, well, the bad stories about it, and through that 2 points I developed a fear for it, but I actually never had a direct experience with demons myself, luckily, and I didn't see any or things like that, so it stayed with the fear, but that fear had influenced me for many years, especially when I was alone at home, when it was dark in the evenings. So that was about it. But there was nothing happened or something like that. So it's not a direct experience.
Okay.
With the fear, yes.
And Clive, what about you?
I've had experience one-on-one with demons since the age of about 3, and off and on up until into my 20s, when I moved into a place. I lived there for 10 years, and face to face with demons, a very angry demon, and I was lifted off the ground, thrown against the wall, strangled, slapped, screamed abuse at. The experience was external of the system as well as internal of the system, so he had access to every part of my reality through what was existing in my mind. So that was a very long experience with him.
So it lasted pretty much your whole life?
Correct, yes.
Wow.
So that's very interesting. So you actually have the experience that I feared. Right, Clive?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Clive, how did it influence you growing up? What kind of influences did it have on your life?
First of all, feeling separated from everyone else. Everyone else was not able to see these things. was not experiencing what I was experiencing. My father was very patient and spent a lot of time with me through quite a few of those episodes, and just by my feeling and my experience of it, he believed that there was these things. So I had sort of a support from him, but he was very scared as well. So mainly it was me feeling separated from everyone else, and moving through life feeling that way. So I defined myself as a freak for a very long period of my life because I could see interdimensionally, and it's quite lonely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can, within my experience, it's been more, I was coming from the perspective of religion, so the only thing I heard about demons was that they're evil and they're bad, and within my reality, I didn't experience any kind of demon possession, or I didn't have any stories that people around me were having demon possession, so for me it seemed like it was like make-believe.
Yeah.
But I can see from your perspective, Clive, how lonely that can be because, like me, I didn't think it was real at all. And there's so many, I'm sure, that couldn't relate to you at all. So it was cool that you did have your father as support in that way.
Yes. I did sort out to seek people with like-minded. So there was a time where I worked with a lady who did exorcisms. And people would come, quite a few, to her, and I would assist her on the seeing level while she would do the physical work. But I've seen her have support a person having an exorcism who has been bent over backwards, and this woman's 70 years old and completely bent, and that was pretty scary work, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to know exactly what this was all about. So the more information I could gather over the years, the better it was for me. Just feeling more part of it all.
Yeah, right. That's cool. So through our perspectives, mine being one that's didn't have any kind of relationship with the demons, Ingrid hearing stories but not having direct relationship, and you, Clive, who actually have experienced it for yourself directly. It kind of is a cool dynamic going on here, and
Yeah.
it does prove, because it is something that people are like, there's no way that exists, there's absolutely no way. But you, Clive, are actually proving that it does exist. So let's go into the interview and speak a bit about the Mikey, the demon that comes through and speaks on behalf of this series, The Demons into the Afterlife, through the portal. What was your gut? Can you guys just give a bit of a synopsis of the interview? Clive, you can start.
The start off where Mickey says that people would not accept what demons have to tell them was an experience I had with not being able to get people to believe what was going on. And they do not want to hear it. They don't want to understand it, and they don't want to even touch it. The beautiful thing that I got from the interview was the way he entered the body. That was an extremely interesting thing, how he would search for the correct signature, especially the one with the flame and the split, very specific, and then to know that within that signature and what existed in that mind, he was able to direct that being as he wished. Coming down to it all, what for me was the biggest impact was the fact that he moved into an awareness of his own being. He saw for the first time his own being, even if it was just for a split second of time. He saw it, and then moved into that, into process, and saw it more. And as he saw his own being, he then saw the beings of the humans. And that was the very first time that he realized that these are not just systems. As before he saw his own being, he was a system himself, feeding off another system. And he saw the reality of it, that we are all beings and we are all one and equal. And then he moved into a whole new frequency of wanting to make us aware of who we are and how to become one and equal with everything. That to me was just phenomenal.
Cool. Cool perspective. Ingrid, do you have anything to share?
Yes, what was cool to see is how actually the demons were much more aware of how heaven and earth were actually situated and separated actually, and also about how heaven wasn't really what we all believed that heaven was, and so also the demon dimension is not actually what we all believe that the demon dimension is. But they didn't try to share anything, the demons. They didn't try to support the human beings, because at first they didn't see that support was possible. So they actually only saw in the beginning, before what Clive tells about the beingness, that we were only mind consciousness systems, so that our beings were actually lost. So, and that is good to know, I think, for everyone who also has experience with demons, that it was, in the interview it's explained how it's actually not personal what demons were doing, but they were separated from heaven existence, from life, from earth, so it was more a kind of revenge against heaven existence, and they were using the mind consciousness system for that. And it was not personal towards the being in it. And there is a lot of explained in the interview, so I will not take it all. And what was also interesting, and that is because I can relate to that I already knew in my fear, actually, during the stories that I told on a very young age, they were only using what was existing within ourselves, in our mind. So they could not use anything that is not existing within us. And I know that I knew then also, because I feared, I knew they could use that fear. But I didn't have a way to stop that fear. So I feared because I feared, and I feared so that they could use my fear. Right. Well, it never happened actually, but that is aligned with what they explained in the interview, so that they did only use what was already existing within a mind consciousness system. Right. That is also, yeah, was cool to know.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Just to explain a little bit about for people that are watching that don't necessarily, maybe it's their first time watching, or they don't know what Eqafe is, or what we're really talking about. I'll give just a brief history of what the interview spoke about, and how the heaven and the earth existence was separated through, obviously when you die you go somewhere, and where you went was heaven. Those that are demons that didn't make it to heaven stayed on like the earth plane and were kind of at the same level as human beings. And in the interview he talks about how the heaven existence were actually afraid of demons, and they didn't want to necessarily deal with demons because of the frequency that they were at. They were afraid of becoming physical. They were afraid of getting wrapped up in the physical plane, because they were existing purely on energy. And the story is that human beings were actually used as sources for the heaven existence, there was different planes in the heaven existence that existed, and it basically powered the heaven existence, and there was a hierarchies within that. You can watch the Journeys into the Afterlife. That's a series that goes into that. But so humans were basically used as sources to power the heaven existence, and how they did that was they put in a mind consciousness system, which is what we exist as in our mind, thinking thoughts, having emotions, having feelings, being taken away in an outburst of some kind of emotion like anger. That's not something that you are existing within yourself and actually directing and living it out. It's more you're being brought into that energy and just going out of control within it, and then after the fact you come back to reality and realize what you did. Maybe you ruined a relationship or something. So I'm sure everybody in this earth can relate to that. So basically he's talking about the way the demons got access to human beings was through our mind, and what Clive was talking about is the beingness signature, which is the actual life that exists within all of human beings, all of the animals, all the plants, the environment, the earth. Everything that exists has this beingness, life force inside of it, and within humans, our life force is being suppressed by this mind system. So that's just a bit about the history, and demons were able to access humans and kind of used the energy to feed themselves until, yeah, so basically they used it to kind of keep their existence going, and they kind of, actually let's go into Clive and Ingrid. Why didn't the demons express any kind of warnings or tried to help the human beings on this on the earth?
Because, yes, shall I go?
Sure.
From what I understood from the interview, how I mentioned it shortly, is that they did see the beingness as lost. So they didn't had the idea to support the beingness or to warn the beingness, because they see it as the beingness were lost. So they didn't see any sense in it. That was one part. And there was also related to, no, I'm not sure, maybe you two can add to that, but that there were many guides from Heaven Existence that were watching what they were doing, but I'm not sure if that was part of it, why they didn't reach out. Mainly what I understood was because they really thought that the beingness was lost, and so that was also what they believed about themselves, that they were lost as beings, and there was only the mind consciousness system left, and of course the physical left. So
right.
That was, yeah.
Clive, do you have anything to share?
Yes, the way that they saw the humans was basically as a mathematical equation. There was no being to those numbers. The frequency of the human to them was purely a mind frequency. They would search for a particular frequency which gave off a particular signature, which would then add to the beingness signature. So it would be a compounding signature created from the being, the body and the mind together. So you'll have a complete signature. This is a particular frequency signature that they've been looking for, and first of all, that's what they would be seeing. They're not seeing a being at all. They themselves do not know that there is a being. So this would be at a certain time of the history of demons, where they were clueless of their own beingness. They saw themselves as beings that were just there to do what they were doing. That's what they did. They created the energy in the humans and they fed off it. They had no idea that they had anything to do, or that they needed to do something. They didn't feel anything for us because they were so body and more body and less mind, and so they were a lot stronger than the humans' minds. Going into finding that there are beings and working, and that must have been quite shocking for them, that they are beings, and also learning through process the consequences of what they are doing to themselves, compromising and diminishing themselves by their actions on other beings. Then to learn that there are other beings, and these are the actions we are taking upon them. There's no way you're going to be able to get information to a being who has no idea that there is any information, firstly, and that there is something to be done to assist and support anything. There isn't a touchable, tangible belief system within them at that point, and well, happy to say that that is all completely changed now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. So let's bring in the point why we're all here, and that's destiny. Obviously, brought us all together here. And what Clive is speaking on about how the demons didn't know that they were life, didn't know that they had a beingness awareness, and I'm sure all of us, up until the point we found destiny, had no idea that, you know, there was a beingness within us, there was a life. We're so wrapped up in our own minds, you know, issues that are going on, that we wouldn't have heard. You know, if they did come through for any reason, we wouldn't have heard them. Or so what was your perspective when you first came to Destiny and found out about the mind consciousness system and the tools of support that they do share? Clive, you could, or Ingrid, why don't you start, please?
I especially recognized the influence of the mind consciousness system on the body, because I had also a long time before experienced that myself, and so I knew there was that relationship in that, and so you can say that there was a kind of awareness within me that because I could look at myself when going into emotions and having an influence of emotions. Well, what's going on as a mind, or well, what I was thinking that was the mind at that time, that had an influence on my body, and I knew this is not okay. This is not how it should be. So there was an awareness within me about that, but I had no clue what to do with it, how to solve it, because everything before Destiny that was provided, I could already cross-reference within my physical body that it didn't work out. So that was one perspective. Then another perspective was, for example, that like we are not thoughts, was saying, for example, in Destiny, and I found that very difficult because I was very much thinking, a lot of thinking, very much in my mind. So yeah, that was a bit, yeah, I couldn't really grasp that in the beginning, but I could work with the tools. So, and also about how heaven and earth, for example, was set up. That was also a bit out of my reach when I started. But because of my awareness and my experience with my own mind and physical body, I saw the truth in it, and I could directly see that the tools that were used were sometimes the English is very difficult, were very effective, or could be very effective, and could bring me what I was looking for, to get more sight on that relationship between the mind and the physical. And then, so that was enough for me to move on. And then if you have one point that you see that that is real, then you can move on with that, and then slowly everything can open up. So that's what I very much use, to not try to grasp everything at once. That is actually not directly clear for me, or that I think, okay, wow, what is that? You know how heaven is set up. That's so much when we are never be open for that. So, okay, I leave that part. I start working with what works for me, what I do recognize, and then slowly everything, you need more pieces, you need more information, and everything comes together slowly. So that was my start, actually.
Cool. And Clive, what was your perspective on the destiny material?
The definition is clarifying for me. It's clarified a lot of my experience in my life, what it was, how to look at it, how to see it for what it really was. Fragments of reality that I thought were real that weren't real, fragments of reality that I thought weren't real but were real. Being interdimensional and having the experiences of that, it's sometimes becomes a bit much, and you can lose touch if you don't mind the rhyming. And the destiny material has sorted me out, as in clarified exactly what was going on and what is going on. So for me, that was a very, very, very powerful grounding system, and I'd say more tool, and a gift, a real gift that I don't think anyone can give. You know, you're only going to find it through the destiny material.
Right. Yeah, and why the destiny material is so unique is because of the access that the portal has to the dimensions of reality, the interdimensions, the heaven existence. It actually did exist. It was on a different frequency band, say, so human beings couldn't see it. Some could, but you know, Sunet has an access that no one in this world has, and it was done based on creating solutions for this world, for what we see in this world as what, you know, these emotions and what the mind as ourselves has created in this world, the separation that exists, which is like the wars and the starvation that is here, and you know, all the things that have been going on for eons, or not eons, but thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That, you know, there was a time where life came through, and now we're opening up that process of finding solutions for this world, finding solutions for ourselves, and the Destiny I process and the Destiny material is this source that has opened up for all of us to, you know, learn more about ourselves, learn more about what exists in this world outside of, you know, our little bubble worlds that is going on. So it expands the view of what reality is. What is a human being? What is a demon? You know, that there is actual, real truth within that, and that's what the pearl has access to. And Eqafe actually stands for every question answered for everyone. So, you know, any question you would have in your life that you're maybe struggling with, or you can't find answers to, you can do a search on the Eqafe site and look into it, or you can email the website and they'll bring it through in an interview. So it's an awesome, like Clive said, it's an awesome gift for everybody to understand ourselves more and then find solutions. So let's talk about the tools in the Destiny Eye process that are here. How has the tools of Destiny supported you, Ingrid, and you, Clive, on walking through the mind and the layers of the mind and the, you know, everything we face within the mind process?
And
Ingrid.
for me, yeah, start. The first tool that stood out the most for me was the writing, and the writing of the self-forgiveness within. And I had mainly stored a lot of emotions, and so a lot of energy. And for example, the tool of breathing is also provided, and I did understand it, but I couldn't apply it at all. So I also put it aside and just started with the writing and the writing and the writing and the self-forgiveness. And first with the self-forgiveness, open it up for myself, like what is that statement actually saying? You know, how is it built up? Because when I started, it was like, who is forgiving who, and whatever. Well, who is me? Me is, yeah. It can be confusing. So I started with really understand what the self-forgiveness statement, how it was built up, and who I was forgiving and why I was working with it. And yeah, that was the main tool that for the first few years supported me the most, the writing and the self-forgiveness. And then, of course, the blogs and the sharing with each other in it, because that is really a big part of it. Because when we do it alone, it is not as effective as when we do it now with a group and share and support each other and everyone who is willing to participate. Yeah.
Cool, awesome points. Clive, do you have anything to share?
The first thing that jumped out at me was the similarity to the breathing yourself into the body, which was something a demon friend taught me how to do when I was young. So it was breathing and then going into the body, and I was always questioning, well, what am I breathing and what am I bringing into my body? Yet I knew it was me, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And then to come across that in the Destiny material was just, it was like a homecoming. And I could also see how my friend had given me the information, and it was Destiny material information with more added to it. I had more information, so I could really put down a good technique to ground and stabilize my being through breath and awareness, and also have the ability to maintain that as best I could for as long as I could in any situation. Switch on, switch off at will. And the direct principle, stepping into that and becoming aware of that there is a choice and it's mine, my own choice, that worked very well together, because I'm making a choice to bring and breathe my awareness out and into the body. That was my most exciting part in the beginning.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And for me, it was more. I was struggling with lots of self-judgments and self-insecurities, and what supported me the most was the material, actually, like learning about the mind, learning about you know, the ability to take responsibility for myself and change and not have to stay stuck and continue in these constant patterns that were very uncomfortable, and it was like this ongoing thing that there was no solution for. There was nothing that anyone was not that they needed to help me, but there was no solutions that I was finding in everyday life that was supporting me to move through these experiences within myself that were very strong, like the strong emotions, and dealing with people in my reality that I didn't understand necessarily what was their problem, what is my problem, what's going on here. And through the material, really studying the material, really opened my eyes to the understanding that we're able to change our life. We're able to change the experiences we're having within ourselves through taking responsibility for ourselves and walking and being persistent within the process that it will take to change patterns, to change, thinking patterns and things like that. And the tools that are used are what Clive was talking about, the breathing tool, to ground yourself, and Ingrid was speaking on the writing. The writing is very important, the self-forgiveness. So all this is explained in the Destiny Eye process. So yeah, it's an awesome gift for us. So that's my experience with that. Okay, let's move on to our last question here. Do demons still exist today?
Can I start?
Sure, Clive, go for it.
Sensitive question. Gonna touch on it like.
Well,
I'm gonna go in this route. I'm gonna go the mind route. I'm gonna go very physical and keep it very physical. The mind consciousness system is there to create separation. We want polarity. We want no one to understand who they are. The beingness must be suppressed. So what we've got going on is we've got so much accumulated data from one life to the next, from one experience to the next, building up a lot of charged energy within the body. So the mind has access to a lot of charged energy already existing in the body. The mind has also got a lot of visuals, pictures, images of terrifying faces, terrifying experiences. So adding that all together, if you're looking at a mind consciousness system that is actually a holographic system of itself that can project any image, any experience, any belief you have into your reality for you, then you have the ability to access that which you define as a demon within your own mind. And if you can do that, you have a legion of demons to deal with. And if demons are around, I wouldn't say they're in the heavenly sphere of yourself. They exist all in your head. You can create as you wish with them. You can experience them as you wish with them, as if you're looking at a dark shadow quickly moving around the corner, more than likely a projection of your own mind. Nothing more.
Very well said. Thanks for sharing, Clive. Ingrid, do you have anything to share on that point?
Yes, as shortly mentioned, there is a lot of change within heaven and earth in this setup, but that is everything can be listened to within Eqafe, and also on forums there can be questions asked about that. So for everyone who has questions, they can be asked there. They can go there and ask. And what I find a very clear recognition of demons is how we actually are able to possess ourselves, and we do that very easily and actually very often if we are not really aware of what our thoughts and emotions and also our feelings are within us, and how we are following our own thoughts and how that is bringing emotions and feelings, and actually how we react, for example, to our neighbor, to our friend, to our colleague, to everyone around us, to ourselves. So possessions, yeah, we still have our own demons to work with, we can say, because everything is internalized now. So yeah, we have our own demons between what is it?
Like internal mind demons.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's no more externalized in some kind of other realm. It's more, we are now in this process that's opened up with the portal, are facing our own demons within ourselves. Yes. And each human being has this because each human being has a mind consciousness system within them. Like Clive said, it's a mechanism. It's a system that's mechanically moving. It's alive, and it's moving in a way of living off of the human being. So it's a parasitic kind of existence that we're looking at, and within ourselves, we as the life force that exists within each one has to stand up and now walk those points within ourselves that are the demon possessions, or the demon within, the internal demons that we're all existing as. And the Destiny Eye process is here to support everyone to walk this process. So there's the material that will support you. There's courses. There's a light course, a beginner course for new people. There's also the Destiny Eye Pro, which goes into more advanced layers of the mind. There's the Eqafe sites, and there's the forums that there's a lot of material on that, and there's yourself. So there's many points and pillars of support for everybody to walk this process and get into it and learn more about ourselves, and through that we open up solutions for ourselves and for this world, so we can change it to be the best version it can be as we change ourselves to be the best we can be. So I say that's a pretty great hangout we just had, and if you guys have anything else to share, go for it.
May I share, Gabriella?
Absolutely. Sure.
I would like to say something about Eqafe. The working through the portal. Eqafe being created through the data received through the portal, through the many beings that has come through with the one aim in mind, as that is the mission statement of the portal is equality and oneness. The statement of equality and oneness means that we are one and equal with everything. If we are unable to, as Mickey said in the interview, see our own beingness, then we are unable to see beyond the systems and the programs that which we are. The aim of the portal in equality and oneness is to bring us from consciousness in the mind into awareness of the beingness. Through the many interviews that are available on Eqafe, one can learn to see the world, your reality and yourself in a way that is completely real. That you are you are able to, with that real information and reality that you then live in, to make the choices and make the change for yourself from consciousness to awareness. For example, there are the strange Eqafe interviews. For instance, the moth, the stone. These inanimate objects that you wonder, what are these people interviewing them for? How do you bring that information through, and why? Because if you're going to expand your consciousness, your awareness of yourself, and your motto is equality and oneness, then with a rock you are equal and one. How do you consciously go into yourself and see that you're one with the rock? But with the interviews, you're able to expand your awareness and become one and equal. With each interview's information, you're gathering information which gives you the ability to become one and equal with everything. So there is my expansion on Eqafe, the vital accumulation of data over many years of dedicated people through the love of themselves, and they've given it all to you. It's available now.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Clive.
Yes,
Ingrid, go for it.
Yeah, I would like to add something to that. Because it was also what we shared already. What I find very cool is that we all have some awareness somewhere, and it opens up for everyone in a different way. So I was speaking about how first the writing and self-forgiveness was the thing that I could start with, and Clive, for example, mentioned how the breathing was something that he could start with. And that is what I really want to point out, that it is not needed to grasp everything at once. And what we in the mind often do is that, oh, I cannot grasp everything, and then we focus on that we cannot understand or grasp, instead of that we start with what we can work with and what we can grasp and what we do understand and what we see that is real, because that is our awareness. And if we follow that, actually we follow then our own awareness, then this awareness can open up and can expand and grow, and then from one to another the other things will open up and then will become graspable or reachable. So that's actually that we have to turn around our approach. So not focus on that what we don't understand, but focus on that what we can understand and start with it. And because, like Clive mentioned, there is so much available on so many subjects that actually there's for everyone an open door, I would say. And then everyone can follow that glimpse of awareness that we have. And then, yeah, so it's up to us if we follow that. That I would like to add.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's a very cool perspective. And I think it rounds off the whole point very well. So thanks, guys, for sharing those endpoints. I'm going to end the Hangout now. Thanks, Clive and Ingrid, for being here, and we'll see you again on another Eqafe Hangout, exploring more about these interviews and what is there to share one by one. Okay, thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thank you. Ciao, Ingrid.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.